Hey guys, it's Byron back with another video, and what I want to do today is show you guys how I calculate ARV. So on this Fundamental Friday, we're going to be dealing with ARV, and I'm going to give you as beginners, because mainly what I'm doing here is I want to help beginners like myself figure this wholesaling business out, right? I know how it is to struggle to try to get your first deal or to try to keep doing deals. So what I want to do is I want to help the beginners figure this business out. So I'm going to give you the simplest way I know how to calculate ARV and what I think about ARV and how it has impacted me as a beginner as I've done deals and figuring out, okay, how does ARV fit into wholesaling? So first of all, I want to talk about what does ARV mean anyways. So ARV means after repair value, right? And what is after repair value? After repair value is what will the property sell for after it's brought up to the standard of similar properties in the area. That means if a property is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet, when that property is brought up to the same standard as other 3-bedrooms, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet, okay, what number or what price are those properties selling for when they're at the same standard? So that is after repair value. Well, why does after repair value matter anyways? Well, to you as a wholesaler, technically it doesn't matter a whole bunch. Who it matters to is your end buyer, and your end buyer matters a whole bunch, right? So what you need to do is, the reason you need to understand ARV is because ARV is going to determine whether this is a deal for your end buyer or not. So it's going to determine whether your end buyer is going to be interested or not. It basically determines how much of discount did you find this property at. So if I found a property where the ARV is 200,000 and I can give it to my end buyer for 80K, then that person has just got a deal for a steep discount, right? But if the ARV is 200,000, I'm bringing it to my end buyer for 180,000, then that's not a big discount. Cash buyers like to buy properties at a big discount so they can put a little money in and still have a property that's deeply discounted. And that way they can sell it and make profits, or they can hold on to it and see better returns than they would get on the market, or, in the stock market, or, in other places. So what I want to do today is go through and show you how I determine ARV. And like I said, I'm going to try to make it simple. But also, if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I'm going to show you guys something that you can do that's more important than ARV. That's going to help you lock up more deals and potentially close more deals. That is way more important than figuring out what the after repair value is. So make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to try to hook you up with all the things I learned about after repair value, what it means, and things that may be a little bit more important than after repair value. So stay with me. Hey guys, I had to interrupt the video to thank you guys for helping me reach 500 subscribers. I really appreciate you guys showing the channel love and support. I love you guys' interactions. I love helping beginners like myself. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure you continue to like and subscribe and stay tuned to the channel. Hit the bell notifications. I'm going to keep pumping these videos out. Oh yeah, that's right. I also need to tell you guys that I have an affiliate link with PropScreen, and I'm going to leave it in the description below. So make sure you go check that out as well, and I'll talk about that later on in the video. So let's get to the video. All right, guys, here we go. Byron Scott, here I am. I'm going to show you guys how I calculate after repair value. And I'm going to pull up a property here that I recently wholesaled and closed on, and show you guys how I went about calculating the ARV on this one, and give you some insights on the deal. And make sure you stay around toward the end. I'll show you kind of what I use on PropScreen to figure out what I need to offer the seller so that I get it under contract for a price that I can actually sell it for. because remember, you got to be able to sell that contract, right? So we're looking at 140 Washington Street in Carrollton, Georgia. And the key thing when you're looking at these properties and trying to determine the ARV is look at the bedrooms, look at the bathrooms, look at the square footage. You need to make sure you remember those. All right. So, I pull this up and I look at that. I always look at this estimate just to get a glance, because let's say if this seller was asking for $300,000 and I looked this up and it said 139, I'm like, oh, this is probably not ideal. So I do glance at it. The second thing I do is hit this and I copy this link and I paste this link and I pull up another tab. That way I can pull up this tab. I hit the X right here and I'm going to be able to look at the neighborhood on this screen while I can also refer back to the original property on this screen. So the first thing you want to do is change for sale, because you don't want to look at properties and what they're trying to sell them for. You want to look at what the property has sold for. So you want to look for similar properties that have sold in the area. You also, I go ahead and eliminate these different types of property. That way I don't have those in the picture, just personal preference. But what you need to do is go to more. And then scroll down and then go to 12 months. Bam. Hit done. My computer moving a little slow, guys. And then zoom in. When you zoom in, it's going to take you to where the property is that you were searching for. It's going to take you to that neighborhood. So I want to look into that neighborhood. I don't want to cross major streets. You see that a major street, 27. And then 16, that Alabama Street, that's a major street. So I want to stay, my property is, if I zoom in, I like to kind of zoom in sometimes to see exactly where my property is. So bam, my property is right here in the middle. They always put your property in the middle. And now I'm zooming back out to kind of see, all right, what's going on in the neighborhood. Bam, this is the neighborhood, right? So I'm looking for 3-2s. You can even go in and select bed and bath. If you know you're looking for 3-2s, hit 3, 2 for the bedrooms and baths. And I will only do this if, like, sometimes you'll do this and nothing to show up. Well, then you go back in here and you can like not do the exact, or you can go here and just put any or clear it out or whatever. But if you can do this and some properties show up, then bam, these are comps. Same bedroom, same number of bedrooms, same number of baths. And then the only thing that'll be different is square footage. You could go in there and adjust square footage, but I just leave it blank. But anyway, so our property was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet. So bam, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet. And there go another one. And there go another one. There go another one. So these are the 4 comps that we're going to roll with, right? And they're all around the same price. So this is pretty easy, guys. It's in between 1,800. It's in between 1,000, 1,800. So it's in between 118,000 and $126,000 is what the ARV is in between. And I always try to make it really simple, like I told y'all. So if you look at this property, just look at what it looks like. It looks a certain way. And then you look over here, which one of these properties look more like that property? This one does. So I'm thinking probably around 126, right? Maybe. But so that's important to my buyer. Well, now I can know, okay, if it's at 125, I always think in my head that I need at least a $40,000 gap. I need a $40,000 gap in order for to sell it to my buyer. That way the buyer can pay for closing to buy it, closing to sell it, have a little money to fix it up, and make a little money. I'm thinking if there's at least $40,000 gap in there, then there's a possibility of a deal. So the seller is actually asking for $75,000. At $75,000, that leaves about a $50,000 gap. And I'm like, I'm thinking that's a pretty good deal. So the next thing I do is I go to prop screen and I look the property up and I hit details. Oh yeah, Prop Scream. I told you guys I have an affiliate link down low. Make sure you go check it out. Even if you're a beginner, you got 7-day trials. And also you're going to get a little discount if you use my link. So make sure you go check out the link. At least get your 7-day trial. This is probably one of the most important tools you can get as a wholesaler. Allow you to see different properties and all the information about it. But anyways, let's get back to what we was doing. We're going to go to comparables right here. And like I said, Prop Scream is really good for helping you figure out what, I use Zillow mainly to figure out what, retail people would buy for the property. That's the ARV. That's what the end buyer would be selling to a retail buyer. Well, you are going to be selling to an investor. So I click this public records sales situation and I click cash buyer and bam. So if you look at this, we just pulled up all of the properties in that little area that was bought by cash buyers. And if we look over here, what we want to look at, just like we did on Zillow, we're looking for bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. So 3-bedroom, we got a couple 3-bedrooms, 2-bath. We only got 1 2-bath. But this 3-bedroom, 2-bath sold for 119. That's one of the ones we saw on Zillow, but it was built in 2009. So 1999, 2009, big difference. So, you got to take that into consideration. But down here, you also got some older properties that you also got to take into consideration. And they only have 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. So you got to take that in consideration. So, I'm looking, 119, 55. I'm thinking that this property, because it was built in 99, it's going to be somewhere in between 55 and 120, right? If it was built in around these time and only had 1 bathroom, then it will obviously be around this amount is what you would be looking to sell it for. But I would say it's somewhere in between there. So in between 119 and 55 is, what's that? 45, and then 20, that's 85. So add 30 to this, it would be probably 185, 187 is what an investor is going to buy it for. So I'm thinking that I want a 10K, profit. So I need to lock it up for 75, right? So what I actually do is go back to the seller and say, hey, I can do it for 170, knowing that he's going to want to come up. So I go in at 170. And when I go in at 170, he said, I can't do 170. How about 175? I said, bam, deal. So I send him over the contract. He signs the contract. Bam, I got him under contract. I go to the buyer, tell him, hey, we need it at 85. And the buyer's like, yep, I can do that. So bam, I'm in there, because they're buying a property that's kind of similar to what other people are buying. It's in between what the other investors are buying in this area. They go check it out. And they come back and they're like, we got more repairs than what we thought. Can we get it down to 81? And I'm like, yeah, I can do 81. So I got the buyer in the contract for 81, had the seller on the contract for 75. Bam, I made a 6K profit on this deal. Just like that. So, guys, I just showed you exactly what I do, exactly how I calculate ARV. It may not be the best, but like I said, this is what I do, and I try to keep it simple. Just look at the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the square footage, and then if there's a big discrepancy in the year built, then just kind of guesstimate in between. But the biggest thing is I use Zillow to figure out what retail buyers are buying for the ARV for my end buyer, to see if it's an actual deal. If it's not, then move on, try to go get the next one. And I use Prop Screen to figure out, okay, what will an investor buy it for, right? That's very, very important, probably more important than ARV, because you want to sell it to an investor. You're not selling it to an end buyer. You're selling it to an investor when you're wholesaling like I'm wholesaling. Now, there's ways to actually buy the property and put it on the market, but I'm not doing that. And if you are, then that's a different situation. So But those are the key things. This right here on Prop Screen, figuring out what investors are buying properties for is humongous. So if you guys need a property comp, send it to me on IG at REI Next Door. Like always, like, comment, subscribe, and until next Fundamental Friday,